Good day, viewers. Welcome to Baramatu Voice Television. My name is Asiayi Enimbo. Today, we are discussing with a very important personality on our studio on issues that affect his foundation, that we want to make it known to the people in our region. He's the former secretary to Krankoko Federated Community. By virtue, is a committed stakeholder in Warri Southwest local government area. Is also the current publicity secretary of PDP Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State. Ernest Bebenimibo, you are welcome to Baramatu Voice Television. Sir, can you please tell us yourself?
Thank you very much, Gbaramatu Voice. Mr. Ernest Bebenimibo, by the special grace of God Almighty, the CEO of Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation.
The CEO of Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation is here in our midst. So can you tell us the motive behind the foundation?
Thank you very much. Like what I've just said, by the privilege of God, the CEO of Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation, it is all about the privilege and the special grace of God. The motive behind this foundation is I was born and brought up in a rural community of Gbaramatu Kingdom with so much poverty around us, especially the women who are of age, about 50 to 40 years, who normally die, and lack of medical activities, so on and so forth, even lack of finance to take adequate care of them. From where I grew up, a Krankoko Federated Community, it happened nearly every month we lost one or two women to childbearing and lack of medical attention to take care of their life and so many things, even the children that are from that locality, especially from Krankoko and Gbaramatu Kingdom. They normally went to school without no school bag, without no sandals, without no notebooks. Like myself, I went to school without no sandals, without no bag. Even a desk to write upon is something something you cannot provide. Even the community cannot provide for you, and even something the schools cannot provide for you. There's no government present as of then. Not now that we managed to experience, even though it's an abandoned project. So growing up as a young man, I lost my mother in that project due to lack of medical attention and lack of finances as of then to take good care of her or to rush her down to where we can have medical facilities here in Warri. So I lost my mother. From then, this pain started growing inside of me. That how can I be an help to my people? 2012, by the special grace of God, from my own little way, I started giving to the elderly women and men and little children, the indigent children, the indigent students in my locality. I try helping them by providing sandals, few notebooks that are not customized then, and even women clothing material, and every end of year, foodstuff, rice to the less privileged, to the orphanage, to the widow, and the men and women who are of age. So to summarize everything, this foundation is born out of passion to help the less privileged, widow, orphanage, and to support educational programs.
Actually, the saying goes, charity begins at home. The possibility of riverine people to survive through medical means, electricity, good water to drink, has given him this innovation to create a platform to help humanity. Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation has actually stand to redefine some of these challenges that we are facing in the riverine area. You have spoken well on those issues. There is one thing that I need to know about the motivation that's given you this charitable organization, and when did you start this innovation, this foundation to help the people in the riverine area, particularly your community of Krankoko?
Like I've rightly said, I started this sometimes 2012, when the pain became stronger within me to help the less privileged men and women, most especially the women and children in our locality. So I started giving foodstuff, clothing material. There are times little amount of money to help those widows, orphanages, less privileged and elderly men and women from 2012 to 13 up till date. But sometimes last year, 2018, around November, December, this thing grew stronger inside of me. To an extent, I became restless. There, I gather about 40 to 50 aged women at where I worship. I said, this thing, I must do it to put smile on their face. One thing I believe and one thing that gives me joy is whenever I give to those elderly women, I derive joy in giving. When I see them smiling, it's just as if I'm taking my medicine to boost up my morale. 2019, during my quiet time observing God in a secret place on 21 days, prayers and fasting, towards the ending of it, it was just like a flash. This divine inspiration came. At Ernest, it is time for you to float a foundation, register it properly to help humanity. And through then, I will raise up banners and I will make you a global phenomenon. And whosoever that we support will be blessed through this program. Through you, I will elevate poverty in your community, in the kingdom, and Nigeria as a whole. Though the vision is greater than me, but by the special grace of God and with the help of men and women who are of like mind, even though we cannot change the world automatically, we can make it a better place by putting smile on the faces of few individuals we know.
I think the founder and the CEO of Ernest Foundation have spoken passionately on how he was motivated, the circumstances he saw to create this platform for people to assist people. And you spoke like a prophet, who hear the voice of God and follow the voice to execute what the Lord have directed. And one more thing is that tell us the clear vision of your Ernest Foundation, the objectives of this foundation.
The aims and objectives of this foundation, they are clear. Just like what I rightly said, this vision is divinely packaged by the Holy Ghost. It is not humanly vision, and nothing political is added to it. This is purely divine scriptural vision I'm embarking upon. The aims and objective is one, to empower the less privileged, the orphanages, the elderly men and women, and the indecent students in our locality, in Delta State and Nigeria as a whole. But we have to start from somewhere. And by the privilege of God, on the 10th of March 2020, we are flagging off this foundation to the glory of God. We are giving out 200 customized bags with the names of the foundation to the pupils and students of Economic Federated Community cut across the nursery, primary, and the secondary school. And by the special privilege of God, we are giving out 100 wrappers, clothing material to the elderly women, the widows, and the less privileged women as part of the activities to flag off the foundation.
Looking at it carefully, every organization has a funding process, then the scope. Are you going to limit the whole of this benefit, this huge benefit, to your community alone or to other parts of the coastal communities in the rural area of the state?
Thank you very much, Baramatu Voice. You have said it before, that charity must begin at home. A Federated Community of Baramatu Kingdom is where I was born and brought up with. So I have to start it from my home to help the less privileged. As I rightly said before, I started this 2012. From 2012 up to now, I've been doing it, most especially towards the end of every year. But this one, I've been doing it from my own passion. But this one is Holy Ghost inspired vision. It is time for you to float a foundation. As our board of trustees, help the less privileged, help widows, help the elderly men and women. But this one is specifically for the women and students and pupils of cut across a Federated Community. A Federated Community is not just the main community. We have sub-communities under it. We're going to touch those areas. Maybe by the special grace of God, after this flag off, we're going to kick off with launching process, which by the privilege of God will take place here in Warri. Thereafter, we are taking it to another communities in Gbaramatu Kingdom, not just limited to Gbaramatu Kingdoms, but other rural communities, and even here in Warri. My team and I will be able to point out one local community around Warri who are not financially buoyant enough to have borehole in their locality. Every early morning, if I'm driving down to church, I see those people crossing 4 major roads to get water for themselves. I call the leaders of the community, come. Why is this thing going on every day, every day? Can't you, on your own, get a borehole and give water to those people who cannot afford to drill in their own? There's my son, nobody can afford to do that too. And I and my team, we pre-point that I say, okay, by the privilege of God, before the second half of the year runs out, we're going to give you borehole. You can see the vision is not just limited to a kind of federal community or not just Gbaramatu Kingdom. We are going to another local government, that is we do local government, and by the privilege of God, we are moving out of Delta State within the shortest period of time. I know what the Holy Ghost have told me concerning this NGO, and we are going higher and higher, but we just have to start from where we came from. Thank you very much, sir.
In Delta State, to be precise, Ijaw communities and rural areas suffer this fate of no good water to drink, no electricity, particularly the Ijaws. The open river is where they defecate from. Ernest have taken the bull by the horn to create what even our politicians have not been able to do with this vision, with this NGO, is trying to create a platform for people to enjoy the benefit of living with their fellow human being. As we rightfully said about the Ernest Foundation, that is here to help the people of the riverine area, particularly Okranko community, to spread also its tentacle across the coastal Ijaw communities, not just only Ijaw communities, Delta states at large, as it moves progressively. Now, looking at this foundation, it is not attached to politics. It is not attached to any oil company. How were you able to raise funds to run, to sustain these humanitarian activities you have been doing for this your foundation?
Like I rightly said before, though the vision is very great, it's not what I can do alone. It's not that I have much, but I have abundance through Christ, our Lord. It is Jesus that gave me this vision. He has his own way of running the vision. Jesus was sent by God to redeem the world and to reconcile us back to God, but he still needs 12 disciples to fulfill his vision. Moses was sent to liberate the children of Israel, but he still needs the help of Aaron and Joshua to assist him to liberate the people. I was sent on an assignment to put smile on the faces of the less privileged, widow, orphanages, and the pupils and students of Ijaw rural communities, Delta State, even as we progress to Nigeria as a nation. But it is not what I can do alone. I'm just a businessman. I'm not holding any political office for now. This vision is not tied to any political PDP or APC. This vision is for the generality of the well-being of our people in Delta State and in Nigeria at large. So I'm calling on all well-meaning sons and daughters of which cut across Ijaw communities, Delta State and Nigeria at large, to please support this project. Whatever you have, we can together put smile on the face of our elderly women, men, the less privileged widows and orphanages in our localities. We cannot just enjoy all the benefit given to us by God. The primary aims by which God bless humanity is for you to give to his kingdom and to help humanity that are around you. Your children are schooling in standards school, while the children of your neighbors or those who are living in the rural communities or in the villages, they went to school without no school bags, without those standards, without no notebooks. Out of the abundance, you are being blessed by God. Come support this program in your own little way in order for us to put smile on the faces of our children, on the faces of our mother, on the faces of our fathers, God bless you, sir.
Now, looking at the area of education, our own riverine area, the level of education is something that is of a great interest to all of us. Now, when you look at maybe the classroom, they are aware of, the school activities. It's not as before, where, for instance, now if you visit some school from primary 1 to primary 6, you have just only one teacher in the school, and from primary 1 to primary 6 again, just only 2 classrooms with chairs and teaching material. How can your NGO revive this decaying system in our riverine area?
Thank you very much. I've said this before, that I went to school without no sandals and without no school bags. As you have rightly said, most of our classroom in our rural communities, they have only just one teacher for primary 1. You said for primary 1, maybe primary 1 and 2. But in my own time, we have only one teacher, which is the headmaster, from primary 1 to primary 6. In my secondary school days in Baran Grammar School, we have only 2 teachers for primary JSS1 to SS2. SS3 is not. SS3 is not there. JSS1 to SS2. How this foundation can help upgrade the standard of education in our rural communities is one. This is just the primary aspect of it we are doing. We cannot just paint classroom without writing materials for the pupils or the students to write. We cannot just provide desks for them without writing material. We are first providing writing materials for them and school bags. And by the privilege of God, as the year progresses, we're going to give them uniform just to make them look good. If I went to primary school without uniform or without uniform, it doesn't mean our pupils or students of nowadays will still do the same thing. We have government who have the primary responsibility to upgrade the standard of education. We write to them through this NGO, and with the help of well-meaning sons and daughters of Ijaw communities and Delta State at large, we can raise whatever fund we can be able to raise through the launching. As I've said before, after this flag off program on the 10th of March 2020, we will be launching this foundation, and whatever we make through the launching, we sit down at a round table. What are we going to do? If the foundation can on its own employ teachers, if we have only one teacher teaching primary 1 to primary 6, the foundation can on their own little way employ some amount of teachers to help teach our children from the rural communities, to help upgrade the standard of education. For the aspect of desks, I've said it, whatever we have, we can provide desks for them, but primarily let us go about providing writing materials, bags, and some other things for them now. Thank you, sir.
Ernest Foundation is a blueprint where other government officials, politicians, and the Ministry of Education can also partner in order to actualize the vision he has clearly stated here. And looking at it carefully, it is a very welcoming development that will be of benefit to both the communities, states, and federal, because education sets a standard in every community. With education, the living will improve. How can you, your NGO, advise many who are still unemployed?
Thank you very much. My NGO, it wasn't created to provide employment for the youth, but my little advice to youth who are still unemployed is, if you look at the slogan of the NGO, I'm running with the message of hope to rescue. Or there is always hope. Even as 25 or 30, you can still make it. But one, to the youth that are employed, my advice to them is, Gbaramatu Voice, believe me, one, for us to advise them or for us to make them to be gainfully employed through, not in this NGO, but through any government parastatals or other sectors in Niger Delta or Nigeria. As a nation, one, we need to identify those who are unemployed. If you go to internet, you will see so many people are gainfully employed. Some are CEO, some work with Chevron, some work with Shell on Facebook, so on and so forth. But physically, they are unemployed. So one, we need to identify them and to know what they intend doing with their life, because you cannot force them. You need to ask them. So many of our youth, especially from job communities, they just love the sharp, quick money. That I need money, sharp. I need 20 million, 30 billion naira, sharp. It is not like that. There is always hope for the living. So many youth like us, so many youth like me, they are unemployed because they cannot wait for their God-appointed time. They run into so many illegal businesses, and many of them are not alive today. Into Yahoo, into modern day ritualists. Please, there is a way Satan do things. Let me just tell you. Satan will compress your tomorrow to today. You will leave it. Then tomorrow, neither you poor or you don't live to see tomorrow. That is just thing about Yahoo business. And to illegal bunkering, please say no to illegal bunkering. You are destroying yourself. You are destroying the environment. You are destroying your children born and yet unborn. Say no to all forms of illegal bunkering and say no to modern day rituality, which is Yahoo business. Satan is compressing your tomorrow for you to enjoy it today. Neither you die tomorrow or you live to be poor tomorrow. God bless you.
That is a very wonderful advice coming from the CEO, founder, Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation. Is very, very touching statement. And with this your vision, what is the scope like, the workforce like of this your foundation?
Like I said, this foundation started sometimes ago, 2012. Present as of now, we have a staff working strength of about 18 that are appointed to work in this NGO. Remember, it is non-profit making organization. It is not. We are not into business that we make profit day in, day out. Some are willing to work while some are employed, and I still have a board of trustees of about 5 members who are ready to work with the NGO, who are ready to support the NGO at any level.
Now there are some youth school dropouts in our society, and some of them are into hard drugs. Cultism has been moved from the upland to riverine areas, for instance. How can this, your foundation, help to curb the youth restiveness, this act of moving from the city to the riverine areas to cause havoc in terms of hard drugs? If you go to some of our communities, for instance, hard drug is something that it has not been before, but right now it is everywhere. How can your foundation help to resolve some of all these issues that is happening in terms of youth empowerment?
Thank you very much. In terms of youth empowerment, even this morning, early this morning, I think it's around 8 a.m., myself and my director of project of this foundation, we were discussing. And I said, there are so many youth, not just even in our rural communities, even the churches we do attend, there are a lot of them that are into hard drugs. Every morning, every day, they will keep on begging you for assistance. Please, I need 1,000 naira to do this. Please, I need 1,000 naira to do this. And we were discussing, I said, one way we can help to upgrade the living standard of our teeming youth is any of them that is not ready to be educated, or any of them that has their SSC or is ready to work. There is a way we can empower them. And I'm saying it again. It is not what only me can do. And in the partnership of well-meaning individuals, oil companies, government sector, so on and so forth, anybody that can be assistance to this foundation. So many people are willing to give, but they don't know the right channel to give. This foundation is one of the right channels for you to forgive. If I'm hungry, I will go begging for money. But this one, I am not hungry. This one is divinely inspired vision to help the less privileged. And you are talking about the youth. We set up a skill acquisition center. Those who are willing to learn. Just like the way the Delta state government has a skill acquisition center, this foundation on its own trained about 7 to 8 of them. Even this morning, we just sent one to the training center that go. Those people, they are willing to learn. And those of them that are into hard drugs and cultism, We have been doing it. We call a lot of them, though it is not open forum. But now that this foundation is now coming to full operation, we make an open forum to invite them, give them orientation, how drugs is dangerous, how cultism is dangerous. We sensitize them on those areas. Then whosoever among them that is willing to acquire skill, we can from there point them out, send them on skill for them to be responsible to themselves, to their family, and to the community at large.
Yeah, teaching them how to fish, not to give them fish. Yes, it's an Ernest Bebenimibo Foundation, which will stand to rehabilitate restive youths in our communities through a skill acquisition training, which he has already highlighted, with a vision of giving. Givers rejoice, and there is hope in giving. That is what it stands for, the foundation. And sir, your last words, your take home of this initiative that you have put in place for others to be aware, to be contributive for the growth of this your foundation.
Thank you very much. My last word to everybody, I will repeat myself more and more. The vision is great. It is not what only me as human can do. So I'm still calling on the support of well-meaning sons and daughters of our communities, of our kingdom, Delta State and Nigeria at large, to support this great vision. And it's a good thing we help put smiles on the faces of the less privileged, the orphanages, and the youth who are into cultism and drugs activities. This foundation is the reason why I'm planning to flag it off on the 10th of March. There are some certain things I do behind camera, but I just said I should do this before camera and open forum in order for other people to come and support this project. I do so many things behind closed door, but this time I'm doing everything openly for other people to emulate, for other people to be touched that this is what this young boy is doing. Let me go and support him to help put smiles on the faces of people. I'm still again calling the help of everyone. Whatever you have, you can give. Of a willing heart, just give to the foundation. The day the foundation will be launched, the foundation account will be sent to everybody to display on every media house that will be present there. Whatever you have, pay to the foundation, and I promise by the special grace of God, together we'll put smiles on the faces of our mothers, the faces of our fathers, the faces of our brothers and our sisters who are not living up to the expectation of humanity. And we vow to return all glory to God for the success of this story. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, and it is an honor because you too has been helping humanity in your different way. You can as well contribute to Ernest Foundation in order to up the narrative that he has also highlighted in his vision and objective. You are watching Baramatu Voice Television, and thank you for a part of this extensive program, and we appreciate you for coming. Thank you.
God bless you, sir.